Hi, thanks for tuning in today. I'm Tony Skursky, the broker here at Transaction Realty. We have one of our positive transaction videos. Today we have with us attorney Chris Mulvaney. Chris, thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
One of the big things in a residential transaction is the subject of earnest money. What is earnest money really there for?
Earnest money is really there to help prove to the seller that the buyer is serious about pursuing that transaction.
So it shows that they're not just going to walk away after they sign.
Exactly.
Is that what happens?
It's a commitment that they're making.
Okay. And then once that commitment's made, that money is what, deposited in an escrow account?
Yes, it's deposited into an escrow account with the broker, and the details of that are going to be laid out pursuant to the contract.
Okay. So then what happens if there's a dispute? Does that money just automatically go to the seller?
No. It will depend heavily on whether the reason the contract failed was the fault of the buyer or was the fault of the seller.
And who determines that? Do the realtors determine who's at fault?
No, the realtors do not determine. Hopefully, the realtors will be able to work with the buyer and the seller so that everybody can come to an agreement, sign the mutual release, and get the money released.
And move on and go to the next buyer or seller.
In an ideal world, that is what would happen.
Okay. So let's say that the two parties don't agree to where that money goes, and there's a dispute per the contract of who really thinks that they're supposed to get it. What happens? What happens then?
Well, if the mutual release doesn't get signed because the buyer and seller can't agree on who's entitled to the money, there's two basic possibilities. One is that it will get held in the escrow account for 2 years, at which point it will either be returned to the buyer or turned over to the state of Ohio unclaimed funds.
Well, it's a long time to wait for your money.
It is, but it sometimes can beat the other possibility, which is going to court and letting a judge decide.
Is that something then that's up to the judge to decide where that earnest money goes? Is that what you're saying?
To the judge or a jury, depending on how serious people want to make the matter.
Chris, so if there is a dispute and the realtors can't help to work it out, what's the best action that a buyer and seller should take?
They really should try to contact an attorney who hopefully they can discuss the facts of the case with, and the attorney might be able to provide some guidance as to which way to go.
So if you want additional information, we're going to have a podcast that you're able to go to that's going to go into detail on what people need to do, right, Chris?
That's correct.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for tuning into one of our positive transaction videos.